Welcome. Lately, I've been dwelling a lot on the past. I've always told myself last year that I would make a video around this. However, I did lose a lot of my drive. But yeah, I had one big problem in high school, and that was closeness. I've always been one to create and form groups. In primary school, I thought of myself as a leader, hosting different activities during recess and lunch. I expanded to online clans and groups when I got an Xbox, and hosted game nights quite frequently. However, since primary school, I wouldn't say I've had close friends. But then again, I was the biggest asshole in my final years of primary. I would do the dumbest things and target people, all because I looked up to my online Xbox friends, who at the time I thought were really cool. All the banter, all the cursing, all the target banter that I learned online, reflected in real life in years 5 to 6. I didn't really understand the concept of banter back then, so everything I did was being rubbed off as bullying. I was really dumb back and realized that I was too serious, which made a lot of my actions seem even more hurtful. Majority of my classmates and I all went our separate ways with high school. I did feel bad though, especially when I started to become aware of it in the last couple of weeks of primary. I tried a lot to change when I entered into high school. I decided that it was best to restart all my socials and begin anew. So I made new accounts and stopped keeping in contact with those from primary. All my online friends started to migrate to PC, and we all started to head our separate ways at the start of year 7. I began playing Minecraft and no longer continued my Halo clan/group, instead opting for Minecraft factions. Once again, I built another 20 to 30 person faction. This was a more wholesome group, especially since I cared a lot about the way I treated other people. I spent majority of my time in year 7 cultivating and building that group. I moved on in year 8 and finally got closer with people at my current high school. We would watch together, eat out together, and celebrate each other's birthdays and play a whole bunch of League of Legends. These were the guys who gave me a new game and a new place to belong in school. Although I wanted more, I didn't want to just stay at an all-boys school for the next 4 years of my high school life. I forgot to apply in year 8 for selective schools and brushed it off as not wanting to go. Then I failed the selective exams for the next 2 years. I got superiors and interviews but messed up my interviews. Feel free to find out more about it in I failed the selective entrance exams in the card right here. Then things started to shift a bit with the group. I always thought I was close with them, only to realize that they weren't really there for me, especially if I effed up or had my head so far up my ass. I guess the realization for this was after my first relationship, where I told everyone that she was getting in with this other guy, only for her friend to tell everyone that she isn't, even though they eventually did. From that, I got made fun of, got called a liar, and even became more distant with the group. I really hated it. So I started to skip more on my classes and decided to study for my last chance to leave for a new school. I thought the people I shared a couple years of my high school life were getting closer with me. Even if some did witness the gossip around me, not many would take a side and just listen. The whole breakup and distancing with my classmates happened all in year 10. It caused a rift, and for the first time, I felt like no one had my side. In my mind, the only way to move on was to meet new people and start something new. I moved high schools for a selective science program in my last 2 years. I felt as though this could be my chance. I didn't really feel close to majority of my classmates. Although the environment was great, more freedom, nice classmates, etc. In reality, the dynamic at those selective schools was a lot different. The school definitely expected a lot more, and the conversations at lunch and recess were generally about academics with a few exceptions. I realized I didn't really want this sort of lifestyle. I wanted more than just academics. I guess in my mind, I pictured I would move to a perfect unlearned selective school with like-minded people. But instead, it was just a public school with a building for the students who passed the test. My interest into STEM also started to waver, and instead I got more interested in building things for myself. So I moved groups a lot and liked to socialize and build up connections. For the first term or so, most people moved around trying to find a group. I kind of formed my own small group with 2 other people, although I didn't limit myself to just staying with them, but I did cause it to drift a bit and push them away when things became murky. I closed myself off and allowed myself to seem more robotic, always doing what I wanted, but at the same time selling myself as someone who was bigger than they were. My self-esteem was hyperinflated at this time. The lies that I sold, which were bigger than myself, are all outlined in the My Truth video. I eventually got close with this girl from the school towards the end of the year. I even asked her to be my girlfriend twice, only to get shut down and told that she likes one of my friends, who she eventually dated. I felt so shit, because I really thought we had something and I opened up to her a lot more than most people. She even apologized for leading me on. I couldn't bear to witness her interactions with my friends, so we started to drift. Basically, I was a simp and had an expectation of a relationship. Going into my final year, I did have my two-person school group and the international group that I hung out with. But we weren't that close, and since our timetables were slightly different, I didn't see them as much as year 11. I was also emotionally destroyed by the friend zone that I pushed myself to overcome all my bullshit and insecurities that I had in me. I started accepting myself, and the lies that I had told throughout the previous year finally started working on my hobbies such as YouTube, reselling, and getting over my fear of talking to girls. Basically, in term 1 of my final year, I messaged a different girl on Instagram, both to see if we could potentially be friends and to gain experience. Even if they left me on red, replied days later, or even tried to continue the convo, I thought it would all help me. I made a few friends out of it, but the real connections I made were in person, which translated to online convos, some of which I'm still good friends with today. Even after all this, I still didn't feel that close to others. I continued to just meet new people in year 12, eventually finding a new league group / study group that included Melbourne High people, McRob people, Ibis and Uni High, and other schools. Sure, we hung out and all, but majority of it was all surface level, either around school or league. I think maybe it isn't closeness that is the issue, but my view on friendship. Talking every day, hanging out a lot, and helping each other out with your problems are things that I deem as being close with someone. But you don't necessarily have to hang out or talk every day with them to be close. In my mind, the things I'm saying are starting to sound more like I want a girlfriend rather than a close friend. The girl who did friendzone me told me that I wouldn't have drifted if I wanted a close friend. Later in my final year, I was told by another friend that I need to stop getting close with girls and start developing close friendships with guys. It really hit me when I heard that, but all I could think about was what happened to me before. In a way, I guess I'm content if I can find one girl who actually appreciates me for being me, even at my worst. I came to the realization that I always push myself to meet new people to find the one. Now that I've finished high school, would I say I have a close friend? Yes and no. I've had ones before, but currently not really. I instead have different friends for certain scenarios or dynamic. I have a friend who I go to provide their opinion on how I'm approaching things, some who I spam and annoy if I don't feel like working, some who I catch up with every now and then to see how they're going. I have friends who I talk about my interests in like anime, manga, and games. But there is a bit of distance between them, since I'm generally the one to be more open about how I feel. Others do open up, but I can tell that they don't want to tell me everything. Maybe because I have a habit of potentially leaving. I don't find it to be a bad thing. It is something that I've learned to deal with, befriending the abyss. I do perceive myself as more of a lone wolf. In reality, I don't really have close friends, or I struggle to stay with a single group. To be honest, I feel as though this is just a me problem, and I just felt like sharing it. I really don't know how this video will turn out, but I do hope this provides more insights into the way I act and think. If this does resonate with some people, especially if they don't know whether it's okay to be like that, I think it is perfectly fine to be that way, since there will definitely be people who follow the herd's path and those who make their own. Thank you for watching, and if you do enjoy my content around just being a student and life in Melbourne, feel free to like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Feel free to like and subscribe.